Uranus square the lunar nodes on June 12th exactly is where we are finding that all the change comes to the forefront. All the revelations, all the new starts, all the new stigmas come out and really break into something. Or a motion picture for itself to be. And so Uranus is the great awakener. It brings destruction, well, not destruction, but it brings revolution and change and shakeups. It brings chaos wherever it goes. It brings all this kind of things that we cannot ignore. Uranus is the principle that says we can't ignore this. No matter how hard we try, we cannot ignore Uranus's calls. We cannot ignore Uranus's command for us, because it asks us, it forces us to change. And if we're not willing to change, if we're not willing to rearrange our lives, then we run into problems, and Uranus gets more and more demanding until we change. And Uranus wants to break us out of our stagnant, stuck patterns to get us to break out of our shell and change. That's what Uranus is really responsible for. And in this episode of the Cosmic Sky podcast, I will be discussing Uranus and the lunar nodes coming together in a square formation on June 12th exactly. This is huge. This is an exact aspect, but it's running, from April all the way to November. So it's really, in this window of these 7 months or so of, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 months. 7 months of these energies that pull us in many different directions, pull us to a sort of split. We're split. We don't know which path to go down. We don't know which direction to take. And so, as I'll say, you'll hear it in my Uranus square the nodes short update coming out on the day that Uranus is, square the lunar nodes, is being able to allow Uranus to let its hand, being willing, are you open to change? That's really the question. And so, in this episode of the Cosmic Sky podcast, I will be discussing Uranus squaring the lunar nodes exactly, and what this means collectively. That's what I'll be discussing first of all. It's the very first thing that I want to get into with this, is this aspect that is really dynamic and really pressurizing and really just intense. It's an intense show of the roads, and we're going to see it. So, delving in. This square occurs with Uranus in Gemini at 2 degrees, the North Node in Pisces at 2 degrees, and the South Node in Virgo at 2 degrees. And so 2 degrees, 43 minutes. That's when they're exact. So you want to look to where you have 2 degrees of the mutable signs in your natal chart, because that area will be impacted really strongly. It will be impacted. It will be shaken up. It will be stirred. There'll be some drama in that area. There'll be some chaos in that area of life. And really it's impacting really all the mutable signs to question into being with what this aspect actually entails. So we have to really delve into the meaning of this aspect to really get to the bottom of what it's all about. What the root of it is. What we're digging into the roots. We're digging into the soil to see what are those roots underneath the soil to get lifted up into a beautiful plant, into a beautiful tapestry that we are revealing when Uranus is revealed to us with this aspect. So this is a T-square, and all T-squares have release points. Uranus is in Gemini, the North Node is in Pisces, South Node is Virgo. The release point of this is Sagittarius. So if we're so mental and intellectual, talking, communicating, sharing new ideas, exchanging ideas, we're so focused on spirituality, feeling so introverted, wanting to do our own thing, wanting to go to Lord, and then we're so detail-oriented, we're so, caught in the plan and the minutia of things and the small things and the really, really dark down aspects of life with all those shadows of hyper-rationality and over-analysis, then we're missing fun and we're missing the philosophical joy. Like, hello, we need to have philosophy and a higher-minded, optimistic quality, which is Sagittarius. So this is Sagittarius is the release point of this particular T-square. So that's what you need to remember. So what this all is about is that okay. So Uranus asks you to change, and it may ask you to change your obsessive compulsive tendencies. What patterns in your life need to change? What patterns? If you constantly need external validation from the outside without trusting in that you know what is right, always needing the validation from outside, always needing to check things, well, be aware of that and say, no. It is absolutely 100% OCD. And so Uranus asks you, like, say, hey, you are engaging in this pattern, time to release it and time to trust that it will be fine, because it will always be fine. It's just about trusting that it will be fine. So, Uranus is all about, so it's where the lunar nodes. Basically, that's what's going on here. So, Uranus is really about letting go. Letting go represents letting go of the egoic ways of being about the world, of thinking about the world, of viewing the world, of being in the world, that we are separate from others, that we have to fight and compete, that we have to follow these certain rules and standards against others and as opposed to others, and fighting against them, and to have to win, to have to compete, to have to fight, to have to do all this stuff. So Uranus is really asking you to consider releasing the plan, releasing the need for a certain structure, and just letting go. Letting go. With the square energy, it's like something is being stirred up and you can't quite let it out and you can't quite release it. Maybe it's about, first of all, recognizing what it is so that you can release it. It's getting your attention. It wants you to release it. It wants you to change it. So Uranus is about getting out of your ego and really moving into something more soulful, more soul-based. And that can look like a number of different things. That can look like, tapping into your truth, Uranus asks you to tap into your truth. I mean, what's right for you, what's really right for you. What's really going on in your mind and your eyes. What's really, on a soul level, meant for you. It's really bound for you. It's really fluctuating for you. Yeah, that's Uranus, because it's the soul qualities. That's what it's all about, really. Or those soul qualities. And so, we have to understand that the nodes represent the past and future growth potentials. This is what the nodes represent in astrology, are these growth potentials. Especially the North Node, because it deals with what we're moving towards, what we're karmically being pulled in the direction of, what we're being gravitated towards in our minds and our souls and our sights and our very smells of what we're doing. So the North Node is what we're being pulled towards, the lessons that we're called to embody and consider and cultivate these lessons, cultivate these qualities. Whatever sign the North Node's in, whatever house the North Node's in, cultivate it. So you may feel like this is something the likes of which we'd never seen before in our lives. A new shocking event, a new event entirely. The lunar nodes are not planets. They are astronomical points in the sky that are based around the moon's orbit, around the sun, the earth, the ecliptic. There's all kinds of geometry in that. I'm not the expert on that, so don't go to me for technical questions on those kind of things. But I can tell you that the nodes are very, very much about introspection, because they're retrograde. There's something deeply introspective and reflective and internal about these nodes, because they move retrograde. And they're inconsistent based off of the degrees that they're in. Sometimes the North Node is at a certain degree for longer than other degrees. I mean, it really, really can depend. It's not really consistent. So, they do create eclipses. The nodes create these eclipses, and these eclipses are massive portals of change. Portals of transformation. Portals that, yes, I'm on, I want that change. I want that change, I want to revolutionize this, I want to change this up for the better. And I want to start again or release. There are major endings and beginnings that are karmic, that are fated, that are tied into, directly correlated with the nodes. And eclipses are unpredictable points. And yet, with eclipses, we feel driven towards them. We feel driven towards them. That's really, the vocal point of what we're doing. Is the drive that we have towards these points. In our charts, our karma. Really. So, and some eclipses impact us, some don't. Eclipses bring about a lot of important stuff, a lot of shadow stuff, a lot of really, really important karmic, material that we have to unpack and look at and really, really evaluate in order to see, okay, where is this going to take us? Where is this going to lead us? It's going to lead us to the promised land, and we are, what's his name? Moses, and we're leading our people there, or is going to bring about disruption and chaos in our lives. Like this transit does indicate disruption and chaos, only if we resist. More on that later. But conjunctions to the nodes. Any conjunction that a planet forms to the nodes are usually on one end or the other. Either a more destiny, lessons, growth, fulfillment end, or karma, past patterns, past gifts, past lessons, shadows, habitual patterns end. The south node or the north node end. And it includes the eclipses. Really, really includes the eclipses really strongly. It includes the eclipses. It really, really has a lot to do with that. The square aspects deal with both sides of the coin. They deal with both the south and the north. Squares are known as skipped steps. What we're not seeing. Bypassing the shadow content and what we need to look at, what we need to acknowledge, what we need to heal and move through to get to the north node, to get to our particular path. It's really all about the skipped step. The skipped step. And Uranus and Gemini is that skipped step. So, there's a pull and a gravitational pull back with this. Into the past, into the old ways of being, into the past patterns, the past questions, the past narratives, the past stories, the past lessons, the ways that we've done it before, that we're so used to rinsing and repeating and living our lives in this very, very predictable, familiar way. So the things that we have been, and also, it's also pointing toward what we need to develop, new territory, what we're unfamiliar with, new areas of growth. That's what it also points to. It's both and here. It is both and that's very, very important to remember. It deals a lot with endings. It deals a lot with endings. It's really, really huge. Endings and beginnings. And also, new ideas that are sparked that you're like, wow, I didn't even think about this before. That's because that's Uranus energy. It's new ideas, new visions, new ways of thinking, new means of thinking, new thoughts, new flashes of insight, new downloads that you're like, oh wow, I didn't think about it that way before. Wow, brand new idea. I want to implement this. I wonder about this. Wow, this shocking, sudden idea that just came out of nowhere. You're like, wow, that's meaningful. So with Uranus and Gemini, life could be really, really amping up and speeding up. The pace of life could be just sped up like a freight train, and like we're on a track, and we're a train just cruising down that track intensely. Time is speeding up very, very quickly. Time is speeding up quickly. And we need to act quickly. Acting quickly. And on our feet. Acting quickly in this way means that we are willing to take action. We are willing to shift and change when necessary. We're willing to change the way that things go about in order for it to evolve and transform and, and do whatever. We're willing to shift. We're willing to make the move in whatever area of life the 2 degrees of Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo falls. We need to take action. We need to shift. We need to change something for the better here. So So we need to look at the life areas here. When you really, really evaluate these life areas where you have 2 degrees of Gemini, Pisces, and Virgo. Because those life areas are where you're being asked to make the change, where you're being asked to shift your life and rearrange it and make it 1,000 times better, 1,000 times more revolutionary and liberated than it previously was. So we need to look at, new, and maybe even surprising and shocking approaches to how we live our lives, and how you will live your life. They're like, I'm going on it's like, you're walking down a certain path, and the path changes, it bends, it curves, the rocks from under you just, the ground just breaks, and there is instability, and there's chaos in that ground, but you were never meant to walk on that path in the first place. That's what you have to remember with Uranus, that it's like you never have to walk on that path in the first place. It's just like you never have to, you were not meant to, so I'm just shaking this up for you not to. So, it's about being your individual self. Being your individual self. That's really what you're being called to step into. Is how can you be your true self? How can you be your most individual, authentic version of who you are? Rebelling. How can you rebel? How can you not follow the herd? Not do what everyone's expecting you to do. Not go along the path that everyone's expecting you to walk down. Oh, that path, that dated path that everyone just wants you to walk down, that everyone wants you to trail down. It's like you were not meant to walk on that path. You were never meant to walk on that path. So rebel. Do your own thing. Break out. Uranus asks you to rebel against any status structure, any social structure, any status quo, any limiting structure that has kept you from really, really being your true self. It has kept you from living that life of just freedom and authenticity. And it's about doing things that you wouldn't normally do. I mean, what would you do on a day-to-day basis? You brush your teeth, you go run errands, you go to work, you do whatever. It's time to break out of that. Do things that you wouldn't normally do. Do the things that you wouldn't, the pathway that you would normally go down. It's about revolutionizing your life, really. That's what it's all about, is revolutionizing the way that you go about life. Revolutionizing the path. Revolutionizing your status quo with your life. And do you like the status quo of the life that you're currently living? That's what you're being asked at this time. And so, what is your predictable way of doing things? Maybe now's the time to change that up and do something totally different, like wear, different pair of shoes, or wear the new clothing item, or any little thing that you can do to change it up. Like, that can be really, really huge for you now. So, it's about 2 things, really. The first of all is having your plans. We cannot, put down and push down Virgo. We have to be in the energy of Virgo, setting our plans in the day-to-day practical reality and the logical reality of, what's going on with the plans that we're setting in the grounded, very practical way. But here's the thing. we cannot be rigid in our plans. Because the more rigid we are, the more intense that change is going to be for us. So, really, if you're so rigid in your plans, like having to follow it to a T, having that plan, go A plus B equals C, and getting your things done in time or whatever, like that's not going to work for you, because the universe is going to throw all kinds of things in your path for you to change, for you to evolve, for you to do all this stuff in order to be flexible, in order to dissolve your barriers, in order to flow with the universe, flow in terms of change, of, what you are doing. Flowing in terms of that change, being flexible to whatever the universe has to provide, because the universe is very, very wise and loving, and it will throw all kinds of things on your path. And are you willing and wise to go on that path and, learn all those things? And are you willing to do that? I mean, that's really a question that is up to you to answer. And it's really, really up to you to open up to the change. Be willing to change. Understand that when you make a plan, God laughs. And you were never meant to follow that plan in the first place. You're meant to go on a totally new trajectory, totally new path. That's what you were really meant to step into now. So you may find solutions to problems. The previous problems that you had based off of, possible areas of life that it may fall in your chart. Maybe that area of life could have gotten impacted with that problem in that area of life. Maybe it's your health, your daily routines. Maybe there's a health way that you've been going about it. Or maybe it is dealing with something in terms of career, how you go about a goal in a certain way. It could really, really depend a lot on your particular chart. And, all these solutions to these problems, all these problems or these issues could just, dissolve. Just float away right along by like a stream. Just float along like a river. Just float on by, and they're non-existent. And you're like, where are the problems? I don't see them. Huh. Maybe they were never problems to start. Maybe the problem was non-existent and I manifested it in my head or whatever. That could be your thinking. And, also with this, comes down to balancing the gifts of the past. Balancing these gifts. That's the South Node content. The South Node represents the gifts from the past, the lessons and the themes that you've already encountered in your life based off of the past, understanding of past events, past circumstances, and the potentials for the future. What you could step into, what you could evolve into, how you could develop in your future. With this aspect, there is a very, very strong need for certainty. Really, really strong need for that. Real strong need for things to be set, for things to be, predictable, for you to know when things are going to happen at the time that they're going to happen, for you to know exactly when they're going to happen, and that they are going to happen, and they're going to happen a certain way. That's that need for certainty that we feel that need, but nothing in life is certain. There are, of course, the likelihoods of things working out negatively. And that's what we need to trust and know, that the likelihood of this thing not working out very, very well is very, very low for us. So, like 99.9%, there's just that one little person that's there. But, with this creates a really, really strong need for certainty. There's this feeling of like something busting out at you, like I've got to break free, I've got to change something. It's about getting uncertain. And, uncertainty about the future, about our lives, really, really creates fear and anxiety that gets manifested from this feeling of being in the energy of uncertainty. And I've certainly felt this anxiety before, on my previous episodes. I felt the uncertainty of my Spotify podcast not getting published. I do an episode and I'm just very, very tense, very, very nervous, and very, very insecure whether this episode is going to get published. I do a video, I'm insecure whether it's going to show up in my audio files because it happened one time out of the 1,000 videos that I've done where it hasn't shown up. Well, it's a total fluke, and it's never going to happen again. So just relax. And you cannot expect to just rid yourself of the anxiety and the uncertainty and the fear. Let it be there. Feel it. Move through it. Trust and know what is right, because you know it's right. You know it's true. But just relax. And you may still feel the tension. But as long as you're relaxed, that is the key. So the more you are relaxed around this time, the better off you will be in that sense of the word. Will you crave what is proven, what is safe, what is certain, what is known? And you're like, anything other than this? Are you kidding me? No. I don't buy this at all. I don't buy this uncertainty at all. It's too shocking. It's too scary. It's too sudden. It's too much for my mind, my human consciousness to handle. But your soul can handle it, because your soul is ready to embark into the unknown, to embark on that journey of change and transformation, on that journey of being okay with uncertainty. Your soul is ready. And this aspect is saying you are ready. You are ready. And so we need to integrate both the South and the North node. We can't just leave, either of these, to the side and not integrate them. We can't go one way or the other, like the North, like with sign polarities. With sign polarities, you're meant to balance out one sign and then the opposite sign. You're meant to balance these things out, because you're not meant to go in one direction or the other with signs. You're meant to balance these two polarities out. You're meant to balance Libra and Aries out together. So, it's about integrating, both the South Node themes and the North Node themes of Virgo and Pisces. Integrating the analytical, critical, detail-oriented qualities with the need for introspection, need for solitude, trusting our intuition, getting into our spirituality, prioritizing our emotional peace. We cannot go one way or the other. We can't just go completely North Node or South Node. We have to balance it in, and we have to bring it into something in the middle, finding the middle way. Kind of like the monks. How they were not entirely depriving themselves of food, but they weren't no lap luxury, materialistic, in the ego, buying all these things, enjoying all that. Like they're nourishing themselves and they're taking care of themselves, because as humans, we need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of our feelings. So, having that as our anchor point is really, really huge. We're taking care taking care of our bodies, our physical health, or, that kind of thing is really, really important here. So we may be stuck and attached to the past. So any time where you're like, during this transit where you're like so stuck and attached to the way that things were, to the old paradigms, to the old ways of being, to the old, all these things, then that is clashing with the part of you that wants something new, part of you that wants something brand new, something structured, well, not structured, something spontaneous, something revolutionary, something totally different and unique from whatever you've done before. It wants something else. It needs something else. And these two parts of you, the one so attached to the past, the way that things are and the familiar, and the part of you that wants change and freedom and liberation and spontaneity, may come against, may butt heads during this time. So it's very, very important to keep that in mind now at this time. So we need to lean into change and flow with it. Leaning into change. And we need to understand that what resists persists. I mean, what we resist, what we push aside and push down like it doesn't matter, what we repress, what we refuse to acknowledge or face, that persists. And that grows louder and louder and louder until we face it head on, until we address it. I had to stop the previous podcast episode in the middle of it to ask an advisor about this to guarantee that my episodes were going to publish, because I couldn't continue like this. And Pluto retrograde was patting at my door, and that part of it was patting at my door. I had to answer it. So if you resisted it, the more you push it down, the more you refuse to acknowledge what you need to acknowledge, the more it will persist. So be humble and be curious and be willing to go there, to just let go of the need to hold tight to your ideas, to your ways of being, to your ways of living, to your whatever, and open up to what you need to open up to. What you need to open up to in that kind of way. And understanding that there may never be certainty. There may always be some kind of insecurity and uncertainty you may be feeling, and that's okay. It's probably going to be what you're going to be feeling, and just accepting that is really, really huge, because that's very, very empowering when you can really accept that in your very being. So, instead of just immediately just acting and changing and revolutionizing and doing all this, before you just impulsively just suddenly just make a change, look at what are the undercurrents of this, what's really, really going on below the surface of this. So I can decide, looking at the situation, looking at all the different sides of the situation, weighing out what is going on in the situation with all the different sides of this situation, what's going on, to be able to make a best decision from that place, from that kind of stance. So, which, next right action should I take? Which right next decision should I make? Based off of, sort of the evidence of the change within myself at an internal level that I want to see out in the world. It's really, really important not to compromise something that you really, really feel strongly about, that really means so much to you, that has a whole lot of weight on you, that is an integral part of who you are. That is a huge, significant part, that is the makeup of you, the makeup of the unique essence of who you are, what truly means a lot to you. Be true to that. Hold true to that. We also need to integrate what we are already familiar with and who we are meant to become in the new lifetime, the South Node and the North Node. Integrating who we were, integrating who we are going to be, with the new, North Node arenas of that. Now we also need to stop bypassing the shadows. Stop ignoring the shadows to heal these wounds or pain or anxieties or whatever. Face them. What is it that you're ignoring? What is it that you are ignoring within yourself? That you're refusing to face? Refusing to just accept and come to terms with? Face it. Face that thing head on. Because that's going to really, really help you out and support you a lot. So facing that thing. Facing that demon. Facing that insecurity. Facing that shadow aspect of who you are. Uranus is sudden. Uranus is so sudden. It causes disruption, it causes chaos, it causes change. And unexpected change is truly meant to happen at this time. There may be a lot of unexpected changes, possibly. And how comfortable are you with change? You could sort of rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 with how comfortable you really are in that change and that discomfort of what's going on with you. How comfortable are you with the unfamiliar, the uncertain, changing something, if something in your life, if a certain pattern in your life isn't working out for you, isn't working out in a very, very, precise and very, systematic and efficient and beneficial way to you. Looking at what's no longer working and what no longer serves and choosing to release what no longer serves me. That's the invitation of any hard Uranus aspect of look at the stuck pattern that you need to change and be willing to change it. It's about opening up to what is outside of us, to what is out of our own immediate environment, to what we're doing in our own lives. Like, what are the forces outside of us? The universal forces at large that ask us, that beg us to change. Now, once we have our roots, once we have the foundation, the material foundation, the money, the resources under our boots, we can really, really, open up our minds, learn new ideas, engage with new people, communicate, read this book, do all these things, go to this place and learn and listen and deepen your understanding of the world through the intellectual mind, the transition from Uranus into Taurus to Gemini. We can really, really focus on going to a new place at this time. Really, really focusing on going to that new place and getting out of the familiar. Getting out of the old, stuck ways of doing things that you're so, caught into, that you're so caught in those paradigms. The action is there. And the stirring up of the energy happens when a sextile asks you to open up the window and grab the piece of fruit. The square is like there's a wall, and you have to break down that wall to integrate the two and form something beautiful. With breaking that wall, that was the tension, that was the knife that was just like between these two sides. Break down the wall to find the integration and heal that change. Like, squares are walls. Squares are like a knife. It's like, ugh. So, something new and intellectual. Because Uranus is in Gemini, after all. Something new and intellectual could really, really pull you out of your comfort zone. Could really, really pull you out of your ways of being. With this going on, pull you out of your, of your familiarity, of what you're used to. Are you willing? Are we willing to truly listen? Are we willing to really, really listen to ourselves, to our depth, to our real answers, to others' answers? to others' opinions, others' views, others' intellectual mind, others' feelings or whatever. Gemini represents openness and receptivity to new information. Gemini asks, hey, where's the new information? I want to, look at that piece of information over there. I want to go there because that looks new and that looks exciting and that looks interesting and that looks really, really convincing. Oh, I really, really like that piece. So I'm just going to walk right over to that piece of information, open the book, and get my mind all educated with what that information is all about. So Gemini represents the openness, the curiosity to the information that we are learning. And it takes time and work to open ourselves up. I mean, we're probably going to be closed down. We're probably going to be very, very private on, an intellectual level. But, when we open ourselves up to others on that level, we can really, really expand really, really strongly in our own individual lives with how we can be, intellectually, really, really going very, very strongly and very far in that way. Just open. An open gate, an open doorway of, the work that it takes to get ourselves open to others. Get ourselves open to others and be open-minded, learn the new ideas, do all those kind of things. The territory that's going on in our lives has all kinds of unfamiliar things in it. The answer is not found in the known, it's found in the unknown, found in what we're not familiar with, found in what we're divergent territory, if that's even a word. The answer is in what we have not previously explored. That's the truth lies. We think that expansion is only external. Oh, just make the money. Oh, just travel to the new place. Oh, just do all these things. And it'll also be an internal spiritual journey where we are expanding and going on an internal level. We are expanding, on that internal level of soul, of spirit, of psyche, of that kind of a thing. And, it can come from us. It can come from us and what we want on an ego-based level, not what we want on a spirit level, on a soul level, not what we want truthfully, not what we want honestly. Where expansion is a soul thing. The ego is just so contracted and it gets so fixated, it's so rigid in the old ideas. Your intuition changes. What feels right at one moment may feel right different the next. It's just very, very mutable. It's very, very flowing. It's a deep spiritual compass that you have to have your intuition and follow exactly the pull that you have towards whatever area of your life that you want to go to. And it can be where it's really to where expansion, to truly expand, to truly grow, you need to be humble, you need to be willing to grow, you need to be open to growth, and that is on a soul-based level, not ego. That's not ego. Don't confuse those two things. Are you willing? Are you willing, I want to ask you, to step into the unknown? To step into what you're unfamiliar with and take a leap of faith. Do something even if you don't have enough information. The facts are not there. The data's not there. You don't have the right tools or the right whatever. The information is not exactly perfect. It's never going to be just perfect. Sometimes you just have to act on that inspiration. Act on that drive to just act. Drive to just make something happen all of a sudden. With that leap of faith. To be able to do that and step into the unknown in that way. We may have, you may have a rigid, set plans. And as I said, those set plans are not going to get you very far if you are so rigid to your plans. Can we be open? Open to anything and everything. Not to what we're familiar with, not to what we expect, not to what we're used to, but truly open to the new, the expansive, what we've never explored before, what we've never seen before, what we've never done before. Can we be open to the new possibilities, to the new doorways opening up for us? And can we be open to see things like we've never seen them before? Like we've never opened up our mind and viewed things in this kind of way. Can we be open to see these things fully? To see these things that we never noticed were there in the first place. We're now opening up our mind, opening up our eyes, opening up our perspective to those things. We can really, really hold ourselves back and limit ourselves with only seeing just the two black and white shades. But in between those black and white shades, this gray. We were colorblind, and now we got glasses, these fancy glasses. Like we're colorblind, and now we're getting these fancy glasses where we can see all the colors of the rainbow. We can see all these colors, the red, the orange, the blue, like all these things that we never saw before, that we never seen before. So don't hold yourself back with what you can see, what you can experience, what you can take in on a soul level. On a soul level. Don't limit yourself with what you can see, with what you can understand in that sense of the word, with what you can take in. And whatever path you go down, whatever pathway you go down at this time, whatever it is, whatever it may be for you, make sure that it is absolutely 100% authentic to you. So that is what I have to say for the collective on Uranus in the sign of Gemini, squaring the North Node in Pisces and South Node in Virgo. I'll be back tomorrow morning with the 12th sign horoscopes. It'll be very, very interesting to cobble together things for the 12 signs for this aspect. I'll be doing that tomorrow, so tune in for that episode and follow this podcast, like this podcast, subscribe to my channel, all these kind of things. And tune in next time, where I will be discussing more astrology with you. Hopefully you've enjoyed the collective overview, and if you did, then you're going to really, really like your 12 sign readings. I can guarantee you that. I think you're going to find them very, very interesting. So tune in for that part 2 video. But anyway, take care, everybody. Be well. Be happy. Be flexible. Be open to change. Have a great transit. Enjoy.